Test Drive 2 is an interesting game on the Amiga for me. Now, I will say this, the music on the C64 version is just as funky. It's not identical, but they've done a really good job of translating it to standard SID waveforms and a sample drum track, which is absolutely fine. Apart from maybe that bit. So yeah, I mean, the thing with this game on the Amiga was when it came out and I was playing it on my Amiga 1000, you kind of forgave it for the fact that, the Amiga CPU is not really designed the same way as other CPUs, around the time of this game, which is late 80s I think, possibly a bit after that. Can't remember if it was before or after when I worked in Cyprus for a year. Cyprus is a great country because it's like, as far as driving around goes, it's actually like America shrunk in the wash. I mean, there are, towns, and there are like backwater villages and farming communities and all that. And even, there's even a huge massive copper mine there near the sea. Loads of coastal areas, and most of it is fucking desert in the middle. That's and that's what Cyprus is like, with lots of mountains, and that's great. If you don't want the reality of driving 4 hours down a desert road with mountains and all that, like some 70s film. Oh no, it's going to start loading the demo. I was hoping it wouldn't do that. It takes ages to load. But at least it works. You can have the same experience in a half-hour drive, and their roads are actually, they're better than the roads in England. Yeah. Anyway, especially the motorways. But end of the day, we were like, okay, when a faster Amiga comes out, maybe when Test Drive 3 comes out, the frame rate will be, more like Lotus Challenge. It looks like 1989, yeah, so I did play this the year before I went to work abroad in Cyprus. I left in 1990, so we press the button. I hope something's happening, mate. Now, what annoys me about the Amiga game today, which didn't back then because there wasn't really a faster Amiga. You could buy an Amiga 2000 and put, the Commodore 14 megahertz 68020 and 30 CPU cards that they sold. Ah, damn it, I didn't know it'd have to load, but yeah, I suppose 64K is not a lot. The graphics are quite big. Again, why not light grey or white as a highlight? Why turquoise? Okay, I guess it's going to load each one. Yeah, now if you play this game on any Amiga, with any CPU, it's always going to be the same, 3 frames per second or whatever it is. Unlike Hard Driving, which is a horrible game on the Amiga 500, if you played it on an Amiga 1200 with an extra 2 megabyte of fast RAM, so the CPU could run full speed, it's actually almost playable. Still a shit arcade game, but that's not really the point, I suppose, back then. Whereas on the C64, I'm going to go with the Lotus. Maybe we get the funny noise of the turbos. Yeah, it must be turbocharged. You won't get, you know, 228 bhp or 218 pounds-feet of torque actually at 4,000 rpm unless it had a turbo. Does it actually mention that it's got a turbo? Well, it does in the actual title. You Wally, Mr. O. So again, if you're going to have these colours for the car, then the background should not be black. You know, why not do a white Lotus? It was good enough for James Bond. And you could do, you know, 3 shades of grey and white. And just say that the indicators have been whited out. Because that was a thing by then. You could get trick things from Rip Speed. My mate used to work in Rip Speed in 4th Street. Andy, if you're out there, mate, I hope you're doing well. I think I heard he moved somewhere in the Midlands or somewhere like that. But yeah, on the C64 there was never a faster C64. The Commodore 128, if you wanted to use the VIC-2 chip, had to run at 1 megahertz. So the only time you could use the 2 megahertz CPU of the Commodore 128 was actually up to line 1 of the screen display, and then only after line 200 of the screen display, where you basically switch to a blanked out screen and 80 column mode, and then you get the you know, so it works out you get sort of like a 30% increase in CPU speed. But you'd have to write all your sprite routines so they, you know, work in the actual bit that's being updated, that the sprite is being displayed. So that's actually quite a tricky bit of coding. You wouldn't automatically be able to change every game. But Space Pilot by AnyRod can be done. Someone gave me the code on Lemon 64, a decade and a half ago. And I can't find that post on there. I've searched and searched and I give up. I don't know what section it's in, so but I do a Google site search and that works fine for everything else I'm looking for. So we're going to go with this one. They could have played a sample there. So the programming quality is not good at all. It's a bit like GTA on the PS2. You'll never get the kind of visuals that the PS2 is capable of from Rockstar or DMA. Same way as you didn't from Cinemaware. This is sort of like if Cinemaware did a driving game, what it would be like. I think that's the best description. But like I was saying, on the C64, unlike the Amiga, if you run it on, like, you know, even the Amiga 4000, you still get the same bloody frame rate. But because the C64 is a C64, and it only ever came out for the C64, not even the Commodore 128, let alone a version of it that you could run on the Commodore 128 in C64 mode and get the CPU boost. No. So it is what it is. We've just done it again. It's the longest review where neither you nor me has seen the bloody, what shall we call it? What shall we call it, eh? Is there going to be any gameplay? Can I call it gameplay footage? Is it going to be like 3 frames per second on the Amiga? Now I'm not sure on the Atari ST if running it on a 16 megahertz ST doubles the frame rate. I have to check that. Do you actually have 2 mega STEs? I think that's part of the problem. The reseller I know has, because there's a couple of times when he really needed cash, and I've got a Mega STE with 4 megabytes of RAM and a hard drive and a high density disk drive, and all working and partitioned and, you know, auto booting. And the only thing that was really wrong with it was there was a crack near one of the, you know, the little fan slots at the back. So I think we've changed the cars, so it's time to play the game now. The bloody battery's going to run out on the camera, I reckon, although it's not flashing yet. Yeah, real rookie, mate. Because at the end of the day, if the frame rate is atrocious, it wouldn't matter if it was Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna wouldn't be any good if all he could do was react in, you know, 1/25 of a second, which is 2 frames per second in a video game. Imagine if you had like LCD goggles on while you're driving a Formula 1 car and the update was 2 frames per second. Now on the Amiga, the engine sound effects are quite important. They're quite a big part of the game. So I don't know if it's still loading. It is still loading. So there's a lot of loading with this game. You couldn't really have this game on tape. You could have a game like it on tape, written by some real coding geniuses who also did a good compression routine. Definitely heard the SID chip get reset there. Ah, bloody hell. If it all works, except for the actual game section, I'm going to be really annoyed. The green light keeps flashing. Well, it just like goes off for a bit. There we go, so it does work. Yeah, I can tell this is a Lotus. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's about 1.5 frames per second. You're getting about 3 frames every 2 seconds. Because a second is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, maybe 2 frames a second. I was bloody right. 2 fucking frames per second. You have 5 lives left. I wish I didn't, mate. I really do. If I was living in this game world where, you know, your brain works at 2 frames per second, fucking put me on the machine, mate. Send me to Bender's suicide booth. I mean, I'd understand if it was doing like sampled engine noises. Well, I can't crash with the other cars, so there's that. Thank fuck. You've got enough problems with this game engine. And now in this game you've got plenty of time to bloody piss about with the controls. Oh, we can go up another gear. It would be nice if the gearbox stayed there. That's really stupid. So, you know, I think there's a tiny little 6 there. No, that's not a 6, that's a highlight on the cigarette lighter. A fucking cigarette lighter on the fucking cheeks for the cunts who programmed this. Fucking arseholes, mate. And the cars look like the kind of cars you draw when you're fucking 5 years old. You know, the traffic. The graphics are not 16 colours, they're 4 colours. Absolutely ridiculous. So it's not like I could say, oh, if they did it without colour RAM, it would be 4 frames per second, which would be twice as good. Or half as disastrously shitty. There's absolutely no reason to ever own this game on the C64. I'm not saying that a game like this isn't possible. I reckon it is, in the right hands. bloke who wrote Buggy Boy and First Strike, which is an afterburner type game on the C64. Chris Butler, of course. The people who did Turbo Outrun. You know, that game engine. And you're only updating fucking less than half the screen. The screen is only 40% of the height. That's not even 100 pixels. That's probably about 80 pixels. It's like, fucking hell. And the clouds are obviously sprites because they're the only things that are not fucking shit brown and fucking bogey green. And fucking rotten minced beef grey. They're fucking atrocious. Go back to fucking school, mate. And they make such a big fanfare out of it. So this is shit on the C64, and there's not even a hope you could play it faster on a real C64 worth playing. At least the Amiga version looked, you know, nice in a cartoony sort of way. Certainly not in an arcade Sega sort of way that you would do it. You know. This looks as shit as a 1981 IBM PC. Fucking horrible. You could do these graphics in high res, although you wouldn't want to because it's not enough bloody colours. Until you get to, you know, millions of pixels on screen, you know, having less colours is not an advantage. Next.